Ever felt like reality was just off? Like there's a secret layer to the universe they forgot to tell us about? You're not alone. Today, we're ripping the lid off the textbooks and exposing the scientific anomalies that will make you question everything. Forget the possible and the probable, we're going straight for the wait what? Prepare for a journey into the scientific discoveries so insane they sound like pure fantasy. Buckle up, because your brain is about to get a serious upgrade. The legend of Nevada's ancient red-haired giants. Have you ever heard the legend of the ancient giants of Nevada? Yes, actual giants, allegedly towering beings who lived thousands of years ago. Sounds unbelievable, right? But archaeological discoveries add fuel to this mystery. One of the most intriguing sites tied to this legend is Lovelock Cave, a prehistoric burial ground where researchers have uncovered human remains that are much larger than average. This cave, located near the Humboldt Sink in western Nevada, was once part of a vast lake that eventually dried up, leaving behind a scattering of smaller bodies of water. According to Native American Paiute legends, an ancient race of red-haired giants once inhabited the region. These beings were said to be so massive that they had to be buried inside the cave itself. And here's where it gets even more interesting. Archaeologists have reportedly discovered skeletons ranging from 8 to 10 feet tall. The story gained traction in 1886 when mining engineer John T. Reed heard about the cave from local Paiute tribes. Fascinated, he decided to investigate, and soon, word of the cave's mysterious past began to spread. But Lovelock Cave attracted attention for another reason: its rich deposits of guano, a valuable fertilizer. In 1911, a mining company began excavating the cave, removing over 250 tons of guano and, unfortunately, disturbing many ancient artifacts and human remains in the process. This led to official archaeological excavations in 1912 and 1924. As the guano layer was stripped away, thousands of artifacts began to emerge, revealing evidence of human habitation dating back at least 4,000 years. The Lovelock culture, which thrived in the region for around 3,000 years, left behind more than 10,000 relics, including finely woven baskets and intricately crafted duck decoys made from tulle fibers. The cave's layered pits acted like time capsules, preserving items from different periods and civilizations. But perhaps the most astonishing discoveries were the mummified remains found inside. Some of these bodies were preserved using a technique strikingly similar to ancient Egyptian mummification. Even more fascinating, these mummies had red hair, just like the ones found as far south as Lake Titicaca. But is the red-haired giant legend real? Some scientists argue that the reddish hue of the hair is simply the result of environmental conditions over time. Others believe that the so-called giant bones are actually the remains of prehistoric animals like mammoths or sloths. Yet, believers insist there's more to the story. Regardless of where you stand on the debate, one thing is certain: Lovelock Cave is a treasure trove of history. And guess what? You can still visit it today. Just be prepared. It's a hot, dry, and remote place, but one that holds secrets from a forgotten past. So, what do you think? Were there really giants in Nevada, or is this just another ancient legend? Let me know in the comments. The mysterious death pools of the Red Sea. A chilling discovery was made deep in the Red Sea, something known as the death pools. Sounds terrifying, right? In 2020, a team of researchers embarked on a deep-sea dive in the Gulf of Aqaba between Saudi Arabia and Egypt. Near the end of their expedition, as they ventured further into the darkening waters, they noticed something unusual: strange seaweed floating just above the seafloor. Intrigued, they deployed a remotely operated vehicle to investigate. What they found was nothing short of astonishing: motionless lakes of water trapped within the sea itself. These mysterious formations are called brine pools. Essentially, they are pockets of extremely salty water that sit on the ocean floor. And when we say salty, we mean it. Some are up to 8 times saltier than regular seawater. Unlike the surrounding ocean, these pools don't mix well with their environment. They formed millions of years ago during the Miocene epoch, when massive mineral deposits dissolved into the water, creating these isolated toxic pockets. The largest of these pools spans about 170,000 square feet, while 3 smaller ones cover just over 107 square feet each. At first, these pools might not seem all that terrifying until you understand why they're called death pools. Not only are they absurdly salty, but they also lack oxygen. That might not sound shocking at first. After all, they're underwater. But here's the catch. Earth's oceans are actually rich in oxygen, with marine plants like phytoplankton, seaweed and algae producing at least half of the planet's oxygen through photosynthesis. Without oxygen, sea creatures can't breathe or support their metabolism, which makes these pools incredibly deadly. Any unfortunate fish or crab that ventures too close instantly suffocates, leaving behind a marine graveyard along the brine pool's edges. But how do these pools even exist? It all comes down to a phenomenon called freezing point depression. If you've ever tried to freeze salty water, you might have noticed that it takes much longer than regular water. That's because salt interferes with the hydrogen bonds between water molecules, making it harder to form ice. In the ocean, when seawater starts freezing in polar regions, the salt is pushed out of the ice crystals, forming a super salty, dense liquid called brine. This heavy brine sinks to the ocean floor, creating isolated salt pools like the ones found in the Red Sea. On a global scale, this process even helps drive ocean currents. Despite their extreme conditions, these pools still harbor life. Microbes thrive in the briny depths, forming thick microbial mats within the pools. Some salt-loving creatures like shrimp and eels lurk around the edges, waiting to ambush any unsuspecting prey that wanders too close to the toxic water. A deadly underwater trap, a scientific marvel, and a glimpse into one of the ocean's strangest ecosystems, the Red Sea's death pools are as eerie as they are fascinating. It might sound unsettling, but the discovery of brine pools gives us fascinating insights into how life may have originated on Earth. We already know from evolutionary theory that life began in the ocean, but now scientists believe it may have first emerged in the deep sea, in super dark, oxygen-free environments like these. Brine pools act like time capsules, preserving records of Earth's past, including ancient earthquakes, floods, and even tsunamis. They've even trapped traces of rainfall from over 1,000 years ago. But these eerie underwater lakes could do more than reveal Earth's history. They may also help us search for life beyond our planet. Mars, for instance, is believed to have once had vast oceans. Now, NASA plans to send a special instrument called HABIT on a future Mars mission to study environments similar to Earth's brine pools. This could provide clues about how life appears and survives in extreme conditions across the universe. The Red Sea, home to these deadly pools, still holds many mysteries. That's why scientists launched the Decade Expedition, a 5-month research mission led by the National Center for Wildlife. Their discoveries were nothing short of incredible, resulting in 77 new research papers. Among their findings were over 10 blue holes, deep underwater sinkholes that host unique ecosystems. Dolphins even use these blue holes as safe zones to protect their young from predators. Scientists also discovered evidence of great white sharks, deep-sea lanternfish thriving in low-oxygen conditions, and even a new species of deep-sea coral, which, like the brine pool microbes, can survive without oxygen. Speaking of discoveries, researchers also found ancient thermal vents and massive microbial formations near Firen Island. But here's the real shocker. Despite all we've learned, we've only explored 5% of the ocean. Into the abyss. The ocean is divided into several layers, each darker and more isolated from sunlight as it gets deeper. The first layer, the epipelagic zone, or sunlight zone, extends about 650 feet below the surface and is home to familiar creatures like dolphins and turtles. Below that, the mesopelagic zone, or twilight zone, stretches down to 3,000 feet, where mysterious deep-sea sharks and giant squid lurk. But beyond this, the ocean turns terrifying. At 13,000 feet lies the bathypelagic zone, or midnight zone, where anglerfish and the infamous blobfish roam. Below that, the abyssopelagic zone, or abyssal zone, plunges to 20,000 feet, where creatures like tube worms and deep-sea shrimp survive in near-total darkness. But the deepest, most mysterious part of the ocean is the Hadal zone, named after Hades, the Greek god of the underworld. This zone, filled with deep-sea trenches formed by tectonic shifts, begins at 20,000 feet and can reach depths of over 36,000 feet. The Mariana Trench, the deepest place on Earth, belongs to this zone. Only 3 humans have ever explored these depths in person, making it one of the most unknown and eerie places on our planet. Despite its crushing pressure, near-freezing temperatures, and complete darkness, life still exists here. Amphipods, tiny scavengers, feed on organic debris that sinks from above, while the Hadal snailfish thrives at an astonishing depth of 27,000 feet. For a long time, scientists believed that without sunlight, these depths would have little to no oxygen. But when researchers finally measured oxygen levels in one of these deep zones, they made a shocking discovery. The oxygen levels were unexpectedly high. At first, they thought their equipment was faulty, but after double-checking, the results held. It turns out that oxygen was being generated by rocks on the seafloor. These small, potato-sized rocks, called polymetallic nodules, are packed with metals like copper, nickel, and cobalt. When placed in salt water, they produce tiny electrical currents, triggering a process called electrolysis, which splits water molecules into hydrogen and oxygen. This phenomenon, now called dark oxygen, is the first known instance of oxygen being produced by non-living minerals. Even more astonishing, about half of large deep-sea species survive solely on dark oxygen. These discoveries are reshaping our understanding of where and how life could evolve, not just on Earth, but potentially on other planets too. The ocean is still hiding its secrets, and who knows what else awaits discovery in the unexplored depths of our world. This means we might be able to find life on other planets or moons with low oxygen conditions, like Enceladus and Europa, the icy moons of Saturn and Jupiter, which have vast bodies of frozen water. The salty crisis. Salt makes our chips and popcorn taste amazing, but its role goes far beyond our snacks. It's a crucial ingredient in industries ranging from cosmetics to fertilizers, water treatment, and even road maintenance. Every year, the world produces around 300 million tons of salt, but this growing demand is throwing Earth's delicate balance off track. Salt naturally rises from deep oceanic rocks to the surface in a slow, steady process. For thousands of years, this cycle remained stable, with salt being absorbed by plants, carried away by rivers, or returned to the atmosphere through sea spray. However, human activities, especially large-scale salt mining, are disrupting this balance. A recent study from the University of Maryland confirms that we are accelerating the release of salt into our soil, air, and oceans faster than nature can handle. The consequences are alarming. High salt concentrations are making it difficult for certain plants and animals to survive, disrupting ecosystems, and even enabling invasive species like Phragmites tall reed plants to take over coastal areas. In the oceans, tiny creatures like zooplankton, which help regulate algae, are highly sensitive to salt levels. If their populations decline, it could throw entire food chains into chaos. On land, the situation isn't much better. Excess salt is turning fertile farmland into barren wastelands, an issue already affecting around 833 million hectares of land, nearly 4 times the size of India. In some regions, once productive agricultural fields have become unusable due to over-salinization. Worse, this salt overload is also seeping into groundwater, making drinking water dangerously salty. People on sodium-restricted diets are especially vulnerable, and scientists still don't fully understand the long-term health effects of the complex mix of salts, sodium, potassium, and magnesium, now contaminating water supplies. But what if salt suddenly disappeared? In the 1930s, Dr. Robert McCants from Cambridge University conducted a shocking experiment. He asked 4 volunteers to completely eliminate salt from their diets for 10 days. First, they had to sweat out any remaining salt in their bodies, and then they were only allowed food and drinks that had been desalinated. The effects were dramatic. Within days, their sense of taste dulled, fatigue set in, and soon they became too exhausted to eat. They were suffering from hyponatremia, a condition where the body lacks enough sodium to regulate water levels in cells. Without enough salt, their blood cells swelled, leading to extreme weakness. If left untreated, hyponatremia can cause seizures or even be fatal. But the moment they reintroduced salt to their diets, their energy returned, and their sense of taste was restored almost instantly. Salt is essential, not just for us, but for the entire planet. If the oceans were to lose all their salt, marine algae would die off, cutting Earth's oxygen production nearly in half. Without these oxygen-producing organisms, land-based plants would struggle, leading to a deadly chain reaction. Meanwhile, the climate would spiral into chaos, with extreme temperature swings and hurricanes becoming far more destructive. For now, salt remains abundant in our stores and kitchens. But as human activities continue to disrupt the natural salt cycle, scientists warn that we need to take action before it's too late. Balancing salt production with sustainability might be one of the biggest challenges of our future. NASA's hunt for Dyson spheres. NASA is searching for Dyson spheres, massive structures that could indicate the presence of advanced extraterrestrial civilizations. Scientists have identified 60 stars with unusual light patterns, suggesting there might be something artificial orbiting them. A team of researchers has developed a new way to detect advanced civilizations by looking for Dyson spheres. All living beings need energy, and as civilizations progress, their energy consumption increases. Humans have moved from fire to coal, oil, and now solar power. But what if a super-advanced alien civilization exhausted its planet's energy resources? The next logical step would be harnessing the power of their star, an almost limitless energy source. This is where the concept of Dyson spheres comes in. First proposed by physicist Freeman Dyson in the 1960s, the idea suggests that a civilization could construct an enormous structure around a star to capture its energy, like a gigantic solar panel. Such a megastructure could power an entire planet or even enable interstellar travel. While this is beyond our current capabilities, it's possible that an extraterrestrial civilization has already built one. Scientists analyzed data from surveys of over 5 million stars and found several candidates that might host Dyson spheres. Of the original 368 possibilities, only 7 remained after rigorous filtering. Since extraterrestrial technology could be vastly different from what we expect, astronomers aren't looking for physical structures, but rather technosignatures, anomalies in light and heat that natural phenomena can't explain. A Dyson sphere would likely emit unusual infrared radiation as it absorbs a star's energy and releases excess heat. However, similar infrared flickering can also result from space collisions that scatter warm dust and debris. These extreme debris disks are a common alternative explanation. One well-known candidate is Tabby's star, which exhibits irregular light dimming. Unlike normal stars, Tabby's star blinks unpredictably, with brightness dropping by up to 22%, far too much to be caused by a passing planet or comet. Some believe this could be due to a Dyson sphere or another megastructure, while others suggest fragments of a shattered exomoon might be responsible. There are several possible designs for a Dyson sphere. A Dyson shell would be a fully enclosed, rigid structure around a star, providing an enormous habitable surface, but requiring an almost impossible amount of resources to construct. A Dyson swarm, on the other hand, would consist of thousands of solar-collecting satellites and space habitats orbiting the star, making it a more achievable concept. Another variation is the Dyson bubble, where solar sails would float around the star, capturing its energy in a more dispersed fashion. If a Dyson swarm were constructed, it could support entire space-based civilizations, with habitats orbiting in a breathtaking cosmic cityscape. A civilization with access to nearly unlimited energy could rapidly advance, mass-produce materials, terraform planets, and expand throughout its star system. However, building such a megastructure would require unimaginable amounts of resources, advanced AI, and robotics, possibly taking centuries or millennia to complete. Scientists are now planning to use powerful tools like the James Webb Space Telescope to examine these candidates in greater detail. Could we be on the brink of discovering proof of an advanced alien civilization? Only time will tell. The Cicada Apocalypse of 2024. Summer. Beaches, flawless tans, and cicadas buzzing so loudly that you can barely hear yourself think. Usually, that's the only time we notice them, but things will be very different in 2024. Millions, possibly even billions of cicadas are quietly waiting underground for the perfect moment to emerge. This rare event, dubbed the Cicada Apocalypse, Hasn't happened since 1803. Cicadas have been around for about 5 million years, with over 3,000 species worldwide. In the eastern United States, there are two main types: annual cicadas, which people hear every summer, and periodical cicadas, which emerge only once every 13 or 17 years. These periodical cicadas hold the record for the longest life cycle of any insect. In 2024, two different broods of periodical cicadas, brood 13, which appears every 17 years, and brood 19, which emerges every 13 years, will synchronize their life cycles. This is an incredibly rare event that won't happen again for another 221 years. Billions of cicadas will surface across the Midwest and southeastern United States, with Illinois and Indiana experiencing the highest concentrations. The emergence is expected to begin in late April and last about 6 weeks. For nearly 2 decades, these cicadas have been living underground, not sleeping but actively burrowing tunnels and feeding on tree sap. When they reach maturity, they wait for the soil temperature about 8 inches below the surface to hit exactly 64 degrees Fahrenheit. Once that perfect temperature is reached, they all emerge at once. They quickly climb nearby trees or structures, shed their exoskeletons, and unfold their wings as fully developed adults. Their only mission? To find a mate. This massive emergence comes with an overwhelming, deafening noise. Cicadas have a built-in musical instrument in their bodies, a structure called a timbal located on their abdomen. By flexing and relaxing their timbal muscles at an astonishing speed of up to 480 times per second, they create a high-pitched buzzing sound. Some species can reach volumes of 100 decibels, comparable to a motorcycle or a jackhammer. This mating call will last for about 4 weeks before their short adult lives come to an end. Despite the dramatic name, the Cicada Apocalypse isn't something to fear. Cicadas don't bite or sting, and they're harmless to humans and most plants. Their emergence mainly results in noise pollution and a massive cleanup of insect carcasses. When their brief time above ground ends, trees and sidewalks will be covered in crunchy exoskeletons and lifeless cicadas. While this might seem disturbing to some, others are fascinated by it, so much so that cicada enthusiasts are planning vacations to witness this rare event. There's even an app called Cicada Safari, which allows users to track and report cicada sightings, helping scientists better understand their distribution and behavior. These insects play an important role in the ecosystem, aerating the soil as they emerge and providing a feast for predators like birds and small mammals. Once the mating ritual is complete, female cicadas lay about 600 eggs in tree branches. A few weeks later, the eggs hatch, and tiny nymphs fall to the ground, burrowing into the soil to restart the cycle. These baby cicadas will remain underground for 13 or 17 years, waiting for their own time to rise. Scientists still aren't sure how cicadas keep track of time so precisely, but one theory suggests they use the seasonal cycles of trees. Since cicada nymphs feed on tree sap, they might detect changes in its composition over the years, counting the cycles until it's time to emerge. Whatever the explanation, their timing is near perfect, down to the year. So, as 2024 approaches, prepare for the cicada apocalypse. If you have sensitive ears, stock up on noise-cancelling headphones or earplugs. If you're easily grossed out, maybe plan a vacation away from the affected areas. And if you're fascinated by nature's rarest wonders, enjoy this once-in-a-lifetime event, because the next one won't happen until 2245. That's all for today. What fascinated you the most? Let me know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into the unknown, don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe for more mind-blowing content. See you in the next one.